Hello! Today we will talk about how Microsoft Teams brings together groups of people, whether we're talking small gatherings or large virtual events with tens of thousands of participants. We will focus on a new feature called webinars and we'll go through how it differs from the other event types. So, diving right into it, Teams allows users to schedule three types of events. Number one, Teams meetings, which you're already probably familiar with. Number two, webinars, the new feature I just mentioned and that will go into details in a second. Three, live events, which is a capability allowing you to broadcast video and meeting content to large online audiences. Let's look at a quick comparison to better understand when to use which of these capabilities. Teams meetings are interactive sessions with features like audio and video conferencing, screen sharing, whiteboarding, polls, and so on. As the topic of the day is how technology has adapted to support hybrid work, it's worth mentioning two important aspects. First, that the participant limit just recently went up from 300 to 1,000 participants. Secondly, the view-only mode. If you host really large meetings and have more than 1,000 people joining, then the 1,001st participant will have a view-only experience, meaning that he or she will not be able to speak during the meeting, start the camera, nor open a screen sharing session. Up to 10,000 people can join with a view-only experience. In terms of licensing, all enterprise and education SKUs support Teams meetings. Now let's move on to webinars. Same as for Teams meetings, these are also interactive gatherings with the same attendee limits and features, but with the added benefit of registration pages, registration and attendance reports, and CRM integrations. These are great both for internal meetings and large customer-facing webinars and events. We'll look at them more in detail in a second. The organizer of the webinar must be assigned one of the licenses shown on the slide to have this capability. Live events can host up to 10,000 participants in a view-only type of event. It supports production of the event both in Teams but also in dedicated hardware studio devices or external applications. The organizer will have to have one of the listed licenses assigned in order to set up a live event. Now, back to the topic of the day. Let's take a closer look at the webinar feature. We will structure the demo in three parts to show you how to use it before, during, and after the event takes place. Let's start with what can be done before the event. First, you organize a webinar. How? You go into your Teams calendar and then click on this arrow here and select the webinar option. In the window that pops up, you first start by giving it a title. Add the presenters, by the way, the presenters, not the attendees. You add the location and enter the details for the event. Please remember the start and end time of this event in our demo, as I will show you something important in a second. Now, here comes the important bit and one of the main differences to Teams meetings. You can require participants to register regardless if they are internal or external to your organization. You can set up a registration page which you can customize. We will click this link and we then begin by uploading an image that is relevant to the subject that is to be discussed. We then give the event a title, set the start and end time for the event. Please note that the start and end time for the event can be different on the registration page from the one that we set earlier for presenters. In our case, the start time on the registration page for the attendees is 30 minutes later than for the presenters. This is useful if you want the presenters to join early for a quick rehearsal or go over some of the last-minute details before the attendees come in. Now, moving ahead with the customization of the registration page, you can then add a description of the event and a few words about each of the speakers. On the right side of the screen, you have the fields that participants need to fill in. The name and email address fields are mandatory, but you can add your own either in a form of a free-form text field or as a question with multiple options to choose from. Once we finish, we can preview it in the browser and adjust it if we deem it necessary. Once we're happy with the result, we need to share the link to the registration page by copying it out and sending it to the participants either via email, instant messages, or through other means. Now let's take a quick look at this registration page from a participant's point of view. We can see the page that we just created, and we notice that the mandatory fields are pre-populated. We only need to fill in the custom fields the organizer has defined, and then we're ready to register. Only after the participants have registered will they receive the access information in order to be able to join the meeting. It will be displayed on this page, and an email with the details is sent to the participant's inbox together with a meeting invite. The meeting invite can be added to the calendar with a simple click. While the registration is still open, organizers have access to the registration reports, which give a view on who has registered so far to our event. Let's assume that we open the report and we have hundreds of people. We realize that we will need some means to control such a large audience. That's why we can modify settings in the meeting options section. We can set who can bypass the lobby, set who has the right to present, if we want to allow microphones and cameras for attendees, if recording can be started automatically, and if we want to allow the meeting chat. In terms of allowing the meeting chat, the default option is in meeting only, meaning that after a session has ended, the chat will be disabled as well. Alright, we talked about the pre-meeting experience. Everything is set up, and now the time has come for the event to start. Participants are now flowing in. As you can see, the people that are joining have the role of the attendee, which means that by default they can't share their screen, and the presenters have the option to disable their camera and microphone at an individual level. If during the presentation we decide we want to promote an attendee to a presenter in order for him or her to share the screen or to be able to speak and share the camera, we can do that with a simple click. The presentation is ongoing. Slides are being presented. And now is the time to talk about another important feature that was just released. We call it PowerPoint Live. How can we use it? While on the meeting, the person that is about to present can open the sharing tray and either select a recently opened PowerPoint presentation or upload one into the meeting. It's great because while attendees can only see the slide and its content, the presenter can also see his or her notes. It helps a lot as you might have some points written down to make sure you won't miss anything. It's kind of like a cheat sheet that you can always see. PowerPoint Live is even more useful if you have videos embedded in your slide, say a YouTube video. The presenter can control when to start and stop the video for all participants. And, very important, the frame rate and quality of the video for the participants is excellent. Just look at the frame rate of this video shared through PowerPoint Live versus the same video seen through a standard screen share. There are other features like allowing the participants to navigate through the slides on their own and allowing presenters to take control of the PowerPoint in order to move the slides themselves and avoid the famous ask, "Can you move the slide please?" Another feature I want to talk about is presenter mode. It allows presenters to customize how their video and content appear to the audience. One of them is standout mode, which shows the speaker's video feed overlaid on the shared content. New modes are coming, reporter and side-by-side, which we'll cover once they are released. Now everybody has shared their content, the discussions have taken place, the meeting has come to an end. The audience leaves the webinar. What's next? Well, as presenters, we want to be able to follow up with the audience. That's why we have attendance reporting. You can access it in the Teams calendar by going to the original invite and downloading the attendance report. It currently shows the name, the time at which the individual joined and left the webinar, the email address and the role. And with the new integration with Dynamics 365 Marketing, attendee data can be exported directly from Teams to automatically create campaigns for the potential customers. So, we've had a glimpse at how Teams has evolved to support the creation of events, whether large or small, in these interesting times. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you would like a deep dive on live events. Thank you for watching and see you next time.